G'day and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. I am your host Fiona, also known as Fifykins. If you find someone on the internet called Fifykins, it's no doubt me, because I think I'm Fifykins almost everywhere except for eBay, and if you're looking for me on eBay you're not going to find very much. Anyway, this is episode number 27 of A Down Under Yarn. Today is Wednesday the 3rd of July. Half the year's gone already, closer to Christmas. Yeah, it's a bit freaky, really. I would like to welcome everyone. Welcome especially new viewers, people who are checking me out for the first time, and welcome those people back who come and see me from time to time, or week after week, or whenever. We have our boards on Ravelry, which are a Down Under Yarn, and also there is a solar flare fibre board for my new business venture, and more on that a bit later. Thank you to everyone who's left iTunes reviews. I had a quick look recently and was amazed that people have been leaving them. So it's really much appreciated. I know all podcasters appreciate iTunes reviews. I am on iTunes and I'm also on YouTube. I was never one of the pretty people, never one of the beautiful people who got accepted to Blip. Blip had had their little blip out when I submitted my podcast, so I never actually got there. Sorry, it's a bit cooler today, so I've left my hair down and it's gone a bit frizzy. Must be a bit of humidity in the air. So yeah, sorry. Probably should have put a hat on. Anyway, I am wearing my vodka lemonade, which I blocked yesterday, which I finished when we were in South Africa, but didn't block it. And look, don't get me wrong, I love it. However, I need to find a clip or something to clip it closed, I reckon, up here. I'm going to be looking in the Tix Trinket store, I believe, for a not merely a button or whatever they're called, the new ones. It's Katie from Knitting on the Fly. Her mum has Tix Trinkets, and I've been meaning to check them out. Now, I have a 45-inch bust or thereabouts. It's mainly back, not a lot at the front, but still. Excuse me, I'm just going to tilt this down a bit so I can show you. Okay, so I'm wearing a black top, which probably doesn't show it as well as it could. Now, for an open cardigan, I got stitch gauge on this, but I didn't get row gauge. So this is where the gauge issues were out. I decided to do the full number of raglan increases that were specified in the pattern because of my thunder arms. I did try it on when I didn't have that number, and it's fitting quite well under there, even though I have to keep pulling it up. But it has meant that it is bigger here than it should be. Now, excuse me, just realised you can see in the background all the dog stuff. Excuse me, I'll just hitch up these. I added a wee bit of length to it. If I clip this closed up here, I think it drapes beautifully down here. I'm really pleased with my increases here. You can see they are in the right spot. Love the lace detail, and when I turn around the back, hopefully you can see where it's sitting, and for me that is good. If it was up there, I think I'd be feeling really self-conscious all the time. So even though I knit the 44, I knit the length of the 46. There's Ninja on her bed, having a nice little snooze, which is nice, but she's taken to barking. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. We've had a bit of a cold snap here. The last couple of evenings it has been very cold. Well, very cold for Cairns standards. It got down to 11 degrees overnight. Now, when you live in the tropics, our houses are designed to keep the cold in. So it means that inside it's actually quite cold. Last night I sat out here and I had this on and I had goose pimples everywhere. I really should have put some fingerless mitts on. I suppose the thing about this, I ran out of yarn, so I didn't get the required 3/4 sleeves. However, this is probably a much better sleeve length for Cairns. And yeah, anyway, so we've had this cold snap and apparently it's ended. And it's because, I know why it is, it's because we have really clear skies at the moment. If you saw, this is sort of going into the week that was as well, on Monday after we all finished work, we took Ninja for a long walk along the Esplanade, 5k walk. Took us almost an hour and a half because we stopped along the way, and she got really ratty at times, and would bark at dogs, and I didn't change. I said last week I was going to change my settings for my screensaver so it wouldn't come on, but I forgot to. Anyway, she kept barking every time she saw a dog, and she'd go mental. So that was quite challenging, but still it's a really beautiful walk. I took quite a few photos, put them up on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, please friend me over there if you're interested, that is. Sorry, I shouldn't just look at me, look at me, look at me. You don't have to look at me if you don't want to, and I'm fine with that as well. Anyway, there is that option there. The week that was has been quite quiet. Jasper should be getting back from down south today. I haven't actually heard when they're due in or what's happening, but that's not unusual. I don't usually get told. His father has trouble communicating with me. And communication is a two-way thing, I'll admit that. So I have, that's the other thing on Instagram, the Fat Mum Slim blog has a photo a day, and I've been looking at people's photos for the last few months and decided this month in July I was going to jump in. So I've done the first few days. There's a prompt for each day to take a photo. So I've started doing that. Today was cold, so I took a photo of I had a long black for lunch on ice. So I took a photo of that with the ice cubes in it. It's a bit hard, even though it's the middle of winter here, it's hard to take a photo of something that's cold. Imogen's home in 3 weeks' time, which is very exciting for me, not so exciting for her. She has just had an absolute ball. She has a YouTube channel, and I've been posting links, I think, on Twitter and Facebook to her videos that she's set up. She did a tour of her school recently, which was a lot of fun to see that. Absolutely huge, and to see the differences. I'm looking forward to seeing the changes in her and what she notices, because the way she communicates with me has changed, which has been really, really lovely. So yeah, my mum heads over there next week to visit Imogen, which is really quite nice that they can spend some time together. I believe they're going down to Hiroshima and Osaka and Kyoto. So yeah, then she's home 2 weeks after that. We don't usually do Christmas in July, but I'm going to do a nice Christmas dinner when she does get back, because I've got a turkey in the freezer that I've had there since last Christmas. So that will be exciting. The other thing this week is I've been going to the Fibre Crafters. They have a big thing. It's the Cairns show in 3 weeks' time, just before he gets home. Bendigo weekend. And the Fibre Craft, and they were pressuring me to enter into the show. So I've entered into the show. Haven't entered any spinning, and I'll get to my spinning a bit later on, but I've entered some dyeing, and I've entered some of my knitted things as well. So it will be interesting. One of the big things they put in their newsletter was, we don't want people to enter to win prizes, although you do enter to win prizes, but we want people to enter because it's a show and we have to show what we do. So I've entered my Rockefeller shawl, I've entered my Daybreak, I've entered my Striped Study shawl. I ended up entering my Hitchhiker, because the funny thing was, on my Facebook, when I posted a photo the other day, all these non-knitters thought it was the nicest thing they'd ever seen. I think it was because of the colours in it and the colour pooling. And I thought, hey, it does show the colour really well. So I've entered that. Now, I'm not expecting to win anything, because I think that I was speaking to someone earlier in the week, and they said that they've entered things before, and I know that her work is absolutely gorgeous, and things that have won, and they've been, you know, pink and lime and yellow acrylic creations. So yeah, hey, it's going to be something different, and it's going to be another side to show people. I'll be at the Cairns show on the Wednesday with the Fibre Crafters. I am going to be there Wednesday afternoon doing a bit of a spinning demonstration, which I think is really funny that they're letting me do that, because they had someone there doing a spinning demonstration. They needed someone, so I said I'd do it, and they said okay. I did offer to sit there and knit, but they said that no, they prefer people to be spinning and weaving to show people how that's done, because that gets the people there. Excuse me, Ninja, that person's allowed over there to be delivering mail. They're putting junk mail in people's letterboxes, and if people don't have a no junk mail, they're allowed to have things in the letterbox. Anyway. Ninja! Okay. I actually think it looks like one of the local real estate agents. Probably is a house that's sold in the area. Anyway, you don't need to know what my junk mail is. Knitting. Let's get on to some knitting. Not a lot this week. I finished my Houdini socks. Yay! Which were my Camp Loopy project. Really thrilled with them. They almost match up perfectly. I mean, there's a row or two out in the toes, but further down the sock, it matches up. They match up at the top there, match up the leg, and the heels match up as well. Absolutely, I'm in love with this pattern. It's worked really, really well. This is the Biscottia C colourway, Moila Coco, which is the coconut is mine or something, I can't remember. My French is really, really rusty. It's from the Loopy U, and it was the Camp Loopy project. Now, Camp Loopy is run by the Loopy U each year for 3 months, June, July and August, and it's like a summer camp, but you stay at home and you knit, which sounds pretty good to me. The prompt for the first month was to use a yarn you hadn't used before and to use 375 yards. Now, this was a 384 yard skein for 100 grams, and when I rated on my mini scales, it was 100.6 grams, so it was about that. I had literally about 4 or 5 yards left, so I definitely made it in with the right yardage. I really like the length on them. They'd be the longest socks I've ever done because I did them, the Houdini sock, you knit the foot, you do Judy's Magic Cast On. It's a free pattern. It's absolutely inspired. You knit down, decrease as if you're decreasing for a toe, so you then have a flat foot. Then you pick up to knit the leg. Now, you don't put in waste yarn and you don't unravel all the way, which means that you don't get the little holes that you sometimes get in afterthought heel socks. And I've decided that if I'm going to do an afterthought heel sock, because I know there's a couple of patterns I'm going to be doing soon, not the ones I'm doing at the moment, I'm doing the Cursed Cable socks. And I'm going to do a true afterthought because of that, and because I found it really, really good and really easy. So there we go, there's that. I'm really quite pleased with the way they turned out. The other finished object goes into my spinning. Now, please be reminded, this is my first ever spinning. It was done over the first 3 or 4 visits, I think the first 3 visits to the Fibre Crafters. First week I spun the same fibre, which was unidentified, possibly English Shetland, but they weren't too sure, and it hadn't been dyed, so it was all natural. The following week, apparently there were some mixed fibres, and they were colours that I wouldn't normally use. So this has turned out not as I would normally do it. I would say this is the ugliest yarn I've ever come across, and it's but ugly, I'm sorry, it really is, but still, here we go. Hey, it's my first ever spinning. Wouldn't fit on the 1 bobbin, so we put it on 2 bobbins. It is a 2-ply. Look, the spinning itself is actually fairly balanced, which surprised me. I was told I'd have to weight it, but I chose not to. You can see that one there is quite good. This one here, my eyes. I'm sorry if it's doing funny things to your eyes too. This one here, again, not too bad. So it is actually 3.8 ounces. I weighed it and I got 84 yards. So I figure for my first ever spinning, I really am quite pleased with that. If I twist them up there together. I'm not going to really make anything out of it. I've threatened a couple of people who agree with me that it's ugly, that I'm going to knit them as softy, but I'm not. I'm just going to leave it. And it could be something I can bring out to show my first spinning. Apparently that's what you do. That's what they told me at Fibre Crafters. And they're all going to bring their first spinning along to show me if they can find it. So there we go. There's that. I have borrowed an Ashford traditional wheel. It is not a late model one, it's an older one, but it seems to be working quite well. And I have been doing Tour de Fleece. So I might as well go into my whips and start with the spinning. The Tour de Fleece runs each year, the same time as the Tour de France, and the idea is to spin each day that the tour is happening, and rest on the rest days. Now, you know, it's the start of the tour, so I'm quite happy and quite enthused and seem to be spinning on Friday at Fibercrafters. They got the big drum carder out, and my instructor there had some Polworth locks that she had washed herself, so I drum carded them. Probably not the way I would normally drum card, the way that other people I've seen drum card. She only wanted a single layer on the drum carder, and I suppose in reality, as I am a beginning spinner, that does make it easier to draft. So we were doing that. So we'd only do like one or two things. So they weren't really, really big bats. I spun what I thought was quite a bit. I didn't weigh it because I started spinning it there. I then finished spinning it here, I think on Sunday. I did some on Saturday and some on Sunday. So this is Polworth, all natural. And I'm actually really quite pleased with it. You can see there are some bits that are quite curly there, where I would say it's a wee bit overspun. It's not so consistent, this one. You can see it's got thick and thin parts in it as well. But I'm quite happy, and I'm going to card the rest of it on Friday and then spin that. I think I carded about half of it. I didn't weigh it. And then I will apply that with this. Then, because I'd done that, and that was really funny. She didn't think that I would get that done this week, and I had that done. So she kept saying to me, "I don't want you got these very, very pretty braids of fibre. I don't want you, you know, you need to get a bit more experience before you start doing that, because you don't need to wreck them, basically." And I thought, no, I'm going to do it. So I got my beautiful Yarn vs Zombies, the Calico Cat in the Corridale Grip fibre, and decided that I was going to do a sort of fractal spun thing. And it was just fantastic. The girls in the VKN talked me through it, walked me through it. Thank you so much, ladies, because it really, really helped. And I did finish the first 2 ounces last night. So I started this Monday, finished the first 2 ounces last night. And you can see the progression, I think, in my spinning, and I'm really, really pleased with this. Again, you know, bits in here that are quite twisty that I wouldn't normally have. It's actually a bit more cat-coloured. That's not a very accurate. That's a bit more accurate. But this is the first 2 ounces, and that was my version of fractally spinning. So I split the braid in half, and then this one is just little bits that I have then pulled apart and just done randomly. The second 2 ounces I am going to start soon. I have the first colourway, which I have done some pre-prep on this morning. In the end, I decided that I was actually going to, because they're long bits of colourway, I decided I was going to pull it apart at the colour changes, and then I could break them up into little bits, just because I find that easier to handle. Now, I'm sorry if you're not a spinner and you're finding this really, really boring, but you may be inspired to start spinning. I hope you are, because it is so much fun. I'm just loving it. It's relaxing. I mean, I find knitting relaxing, where I can just sit there and zone out. You know, when you're knitting stockinette or something and you're just zoning out and doing that. Spinning, I can just sit there and treadle and go and just... I don't know, it's because I treadle slowly and I like the rhythmic movement of it, and it is slow and it is measured, and for me, I'm just loving it. I am hoping to get my own wheel at the end of the month. I am going to Bendigo. I haven't booked my flights yet. I almost booked them last night but didn't. I will be leaving Cairns early on the Friday morning, like 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, and getting into Melbourne about lunchtime. My plan is to hire a car and drive out to Bendigo. Bendigo will probably be around an hour and a half, so I should get there like 2:30 in the afternoon on the Friday, and I will go to Bendigo Willand Mills. Bit exciting. I am hoping to catch up with some friends down there, and I have some accommodation probably sorted out but I've got to double check that if that's still going ahead. And then Saturday I'll hit Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show. So, so excited. I hope to have some samples there to be giving away to people. So I'll have more news on that in coming weeks. But at Bendigo I hope to try out some different wheels. I originally thought I'd probably get a Ladybug or a Sidekick because people just rave about them so much. There was someone importing them into Australia. There's 2 people importing them in. One person imports them in directly. Another person had some in stock. She doesn't have any in stock at the moment. The Australian dollar has crashed over the last month or so. It's gone from parity down to about 90 cents. So it means that things cost a lot more for us now. That being the case, I looked at that. I looked at a Lendrum because I've heard a couple of people who are taller. I'm 5'9", and I know that the Ashford Joy, I want something that's portable. The thing with the traditional, I've been trying to get it in and out of the car, and I have to put seats down, and I've got a hatchback. I put seats down, get it in there. The drive cord comes off, and it's a hassle. I'm looking at something that's more portable. I looked at the Lendrum and I really like that. But when I did the conversion, I might as well get a Majorcraft, a New Zealand wheel, because it is because of the exchange rate. So I'm going to try out different wheels in Bendigo and then make decisions from there. So that is that. Other works in progress. I agreed to help out a project a couple of months ago now. Someone is doing squares for a blanket for someone else, and they're 10-inch squares, and every attempt I've made has just been full of fail. This is my current attempt. I'm doing a column lace thing. It has to be 10 inches. Now that is 8 inches at the moment. It does stretch out to 10 inches and I don't mind the stretch. Every time I do a swatch and get, this is an 8-ply wool, a DK weight. Every time I've done a swatch and worked it out, when I've custom that number of stitches, it's been far too many. So this time I just thought I'd do less, and it's worked out exactly what I would get on gauge. Hey, it is what it is. As I say, it's not going to matter when it stretches out. Hoping to get this finished ASAP. I'm going to a wedding on Saturday, and I have said I'm going to knit a cushion. So I've got 3 days to do that, and I'm spinning and I'm doing all this stuff. So I am doing the twining trees motif, which is a square, and it's only going to be a small cushion. Of course, I'm then going to have to find something to fill the cushion with, but still. Other people have done it. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough yarn to do it doubled. I've got 200 grams. I think I should, and that's what I'm going to do just to make it a bit bigger. See, hey, if I find that, I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, I come up with these ideas in the middle of the night, and then executing them in time is proving a challenge. So that's what that is. That's my current whips, what I'm currently doing. My Camp Loopy Project 2 yarn still hasn't arrived. I ordered it on the first day. It's just postage, the luck of postage. I know other people in Australia have got theirs. They got theirs early last week. They ordered them the same day. Hey, mine just hit a different airplane. It is what it is. I do have some acquisitions. I have one acquisition I can talk about. And this is my, oh, sorry. If you're in the Yarn vs Zombies World Traveller Club and have not received your yarn yet, you may want to look away. But here it is. Isn't it just the most gorgeous, amazing yarn? It's actually a bit brighter green than what is showing on there. Can I get it to, not really, but you can see it is just luscious. It is the Damsel base, which is an 80-10-10, 435 yards in Zen green. And with it, I've got a sock pattern, some socks, which I'm going to knit. And it's actually really special because it's based on Japan, this World Traveller Club this month, and that's where Remy is at the moment, and she's coming home, so that's pretty special, I think. So that is that acquisition. I have some thanks for patterns. Some people have sent me patterns during the week as well, which has been really lovely. When I get to knitting them, I'll mention you. So yeah, it's lovely to get just random acts of pattern and for people to say they appreciate the podcast, and it's just really lovely. So thank you very much. You know who you are. The goals. I set some goals at the start of the year and I thought I should address them. I think I did that 3 months ago to see how I was flying. And I think flying is probably the right word. My goals for the year, I just going straight down, was to do some stranded colour work. I did that. I've done that already with my Milo that I did the elephants in the bottom of a month or two back. 6 pairs of socks. I have 3 pairs of socks finished and I have 2 works in progress. One work in progress which is almost 1 sock done. The other one have been languishing in a whip pile since last year, and I've done the cuff on them and 1 repeat of the really popular ones. Cookie monkey socks. So I just need to get back into those. Shouldn't take me that long to whip both of those up. I have some more stripy socks I want to do. I've got all sorts of socks, all the socks. I want to knit all the socks. Mimmel has stolen my ladybug socks. They were always a bit long for me and I left them over at his place. I'd worn them over there and they got in his washing basket, which my clothing does. If I stay there overnight, sometimes my clothing gets in his washing basket. And he's taken to wearing them because he just loves the woolen socks. He said, I'm amazed. He said, when we were in South Africa, I knit him some for his birthday last year, which I think he got this year. And they're not counted towards my sock count for the year either. So that's probably another pair if I wanted to be, anyway, I'm not counting them. And he says they kept his feet so warm, and now he says over here, they're keeping his feet, they keep drawing the sweat away and he just loves it. So he's taken to wearing those and they fit him really well. So I said he can have them. I've ordered some yarn from Sadie. Got a custom order for some stripy yarn for him as well because he loves the stripy socks. And he just says it's good wearing them at work, and sometimes the patients comment on them, which is kind of quirky, I think. And something different. I mean, up here, doctors don't dress as, I don't want to say professionally, as traditionally as they do down south. We have a very laid-back culture up here, so he usually wears shorts and socks and shoes to work, and open-neck shirts. Whereas I know down south, a lot of doctors still wear collar and tie, but that's not expected up here. Not many people wear ties at all in Cairns. Anyway, back to Mimmel. He did his exam last Saturday. He finds out tomorrow how he went. He's not sure. He came out and was pretty shell-shocked. He rang me soon after he came out and he said some of the cases they present, there's 20 stations. You're marked on 16 of them and you have to get 12 right. You have to pass 12. Sorry, if you haven't seen last week, I probably didn't explain it very well then either. Mimmel is a foreign trained doctor, so has to sit the Australian Medical Council exams, and it's a practical exam. So you are presented with 16 cases and 16 patients, and usually mock patients, and you have to examine them. However, there are, I think there's a certain number of criteria they're looking at, and they're not necessarily looking at you diagnosing the patient. They're looking at the treatment plans, or they're looking at the way you interact with the patient, or you've offered the right literature to them, things like that. They're looking at the way you interpret results, that sort of thing. They assess you in psychiatry, which of course he's fine in, obstetrics and gynecology, paediatrics, medicine, ethics. What else is there? I think that's it. He said the surgery cases, there was one that he found very, very challenging. He said, but he doesn't know if they were assessing the actual condition or if they were assessing consent and things like that. Ethics case, he said it was a doozy. He said it really was a doozy. And it was one of those ones where common sense would say one thing, however, ethics might say the other, and it's coming down on that side of things, which I think you've got to deal with a bit in medicine. So yeah. Back to my goal. Sorry, that was just a bit of a tangent, wasn't it? 6 toys I said I was going to knit. I've knit 1. I hope to get some more done. I think leading up to Christmas I'll probably get some more of those done. I said 6 shawls for the year. I've knit 8 so far. With another one I'm definitely doing for Camp Loopy. I am going to do the Isolde Teague, the Ishbel is going to be my Camp Loopy project too. It has to be something that uses over 500 yards and has had over 1,000 people do it, or it's in 1,000 queues. And that definitely qualifies. I have the pattern in my library and it's been there for a bit, so I'm looking forward to doing that. I am going to knit the Jenna Krupa Moon Dance pattern. I have some Woolmise Pure. That is a bit of a heavy skein. I may be playing yard chicken at the end, I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. It's not enough yardage for some of the testers. It's more than what Jenna herself used, and more than what one of the other testers used as well. So it's going to be a bit in the middle. We'll wait and see with that one. I said 2 garments, done that. I've done the vodka lemonade here, and I've done the Ho Aloha sweater as well. I have another couple of garments in the pipeline, so I might get some more of those done by the end of the year. I also said I wanted to work from the queue. Of the 25 projects I've done, 7 were definitely in my queue, and I think I could probably say 4 or 5 were others that I had been looking at for a while. They would be favourites. They might not necessarily have been in my queue. I'm using my queue a bit differently, I think, at the moment. I went through last week and I decided that a lot of summer tops are coming up in Ravelry Hot Patterns, which is great because it's summer in the US. And they're the sort of things that we use here in Cairns throughout the year, we can wear. So I've been through and favoured a lot of them, and then I've added them to my queue as well. Yeah. And then I know that I'll probably go through in a month or so and take half of them out. But that's just how it is. I wanted to stick to 3 pages, a 3-page queue. Now I'm up to a 4-page queue. We'll see. And so far this year I have knit 10,868 yards. Stash Dash, which is going with the Knit Girls, is to knit 4 kilometres, which is 4,300 yards, I think, from memory. I've knit 2,800, and there's about a month to go. I haven't added in my spinning, and I've got the other spinning to add in. I'll have the blanket and the blanket squares. I'll have about 500 or 600 yards for my Ishbel, about that for my Jenna shawl. And I think if I do another couple of little projects in there, I might actually make it, which would be good. Stash Dash is about knitting from stash and getting down. The idea of stash, though, is probably blurred around the edges. So if I was to go out and buy some yarn tomorrow, I could say that's in my stash. But still, I am enjoying that. And of course my Camp Loopy is coming straight in, so that will be then part of Stash Dash. It's just knitting and using a lot of fibre. Dyeing and the shop. I submitted all my paperwork for the NICE program, which is a New Enterprise Initiative scheme. It is a scheme available to those people who are unemployed, whereby you get unemployment benefits for 12 months whilst you're running your business, regardless of how well your business does. So they say it's so that you can operate a business and build it up, but still be guaranteed some sort of income, which would be fantastic if I can be part of that. It would just save a lot of headaches with having to report each fortnight, and it becomes very difficult when you're running a small business and you're dealing with Social Security, because they take your income as how much you sell something for. So if you sell a skein of yarn for $25, they say you've earned $25, whereas you've had to expend money that then comes out. I'm doing my tax next week. It's the end of the financial year, is the 30th of June in Australia. I'm seeing my accountant next Tuesday, where I'm going to talk a whole lot of stuff with her. And I'm expecting quite a sizable tax return, because I had tax taken out for the first 6 months of the year when I was working at the rate that if I was working for the whole year. And because I wasn't, my tax rate just drops, and they will have taken out quite a bit of tax. Centrelink also gives you money at the end of the financial year because of the family tax benefit. they leave some behind in case you don't declare enough, and because I've definitely declared more than what I've earned, I will get some of that back as well. But the shop and dyeing, I have been dyeing up some random skeins that I've had, and I'm just quickly going to show you. If you're my birthday swap partner, I'm about to pop this in the post. So, as again, I don't know if you watch, but this is that yarn. It is a single ply yarn and really lovely. I am not going to stock this to begin with. However, I had an email from one of my suppliers, and they were saying that they've got one coming out which is very similar to this, but it's going to have a silk content. I wouldn't use this for socks because it's pure wool and single ply, and I just think it would wear pretty badly on socks. It reminds me of Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the construction, and this is a sort of a plummy, purpley plummy colour which is being sent down. So there's that. The other yarn totally needs a rescanning because it got a bit tangled, and I've detangled most of it, but I wanted to put it on my Swift, and I'm making a nitty noddy out of plumbing conduit. So I am so pleased with this though. This is purples and greens and greys, and I am just loving it. The comments I've got from photos I've put up have just been really, really positive as well. So this is again on a base I'm probably not going to carry. I'm entering this in the Can show, and then there is a category at the show. You have to enter something that you've done in the last 12 months. However, there's a category to create something out of a previous show entry. So I'm planning after this to knit this up into some socks or into a shawl so that I can enter that next year. Yeah, why not, I figure. And I adore purple and green together. It brings out the inner feminist in me. It's Wimbledon at the moment. They're Wimbledon colours. But yeah, so there we go. Yep. Really, really pleased. And really pleased that a technique that I was trying out worked first time for me. So very, very excited. I haven't been in the dye pots. We've had really cold mornings here, as I said, and I didn't know if the temperature would get up enough. These that I dyed late last week, one of them I'd left out overnight, and it took all of the following day, and it had set by then. And I just didn't know. I've been looking at the weather forecasts and thought, I'm just going to wait until next week. I've got a couple of other skeins here I can test things out on. And my yarn order should be here very soon, I hope. I've been looking at the tracking and hasn't had any tracking advices for over a week, which I think means that it's somewhere in the countries in Australia they're crap at putting tracking advices up. I think that's it. It's a bit of a shorter episode. Yay, not much. I've just looked at the time. Sorry. Anyway, go away, fly. Until next week, I will say cheers and hooroo, and see you later. Bye.